In this practice, we'll work on hip flexors and inner groin, especially the adductor muscles. Grab a strap, a block. We'll do this practice slightly different. First, we'll be lying down. Most practices, we start with a little flow practice, some sun salutes, and a variety of actions to open up the hips. In this practice, we'll start supine with hip opening. With your block and your strap, lie down with your knees bent. Lift your pelvis up so you've got a little elevation. You can do it on the flat side, or you can lift yourself up a little bit higher if that feels all right for you. But for most of us, just a little elevation will work. As you extend your left leg, draw your right thigh in. And notice as you bring your right knee closer to you, you get a nice length all the way from the pelvis all the way to the extended left foot. See if you can place your heel on the mat and draw your left toes toward your face. Lift your leg up. Get a nice stretch to the back side of the leg as you press the back side of the leg into the interlaced fingers. Bend your knee and take your strap around your right foot. And as you take your strap around your right foot, hold on to the strap in two hands, separating the strap, and draw your right foot just a little bit further. Now, for some of us, bending the knee is probably a useful action to do because you get a little bit too much tightness behind the leg. So as you bend the knee just slightly, keep a nice action in the toes, spread the toes. Take the strap in your right hand, and as you reach your right foot over to the right side, not too far, just get this nice opening here in the pelvic area. So you reach your right foot to the right side. Now inhale and lift your right foot up. Take your strap off the right foot, bend both knees, plant your feet, pause, get a nice opening in the chest as you press your elbows down, get a nice lift to the upper chest. From here, extend your right foot out and have the right leg very active. Root down, draw the right heel down as you pull the left knee in. As you do, just get this nice engagement. You'll start to feel the inner thigh muscles create just a little bit more action to create more flexibility in your pelvic area. From here, interlace your fingers and reach your left leg up. And same thing, if you feel a lot of tightening, a lot of pulling sensation behind the left knee, then bend your knee slightly. Reach up, reach your left heel up as you draw your left toes down. Pull in. Bend your knee, take your strap around your left foot again. Take your strap around your left foot, right at the base of the toes. Hold onto the strap with two hands. Slight bend to the knee as you root down through the right foot, the foot on the floor. You're pulling in from the right heel as you just get a little bit more of a stretch there in the back side of the left leg. Take the strap in your left hand, and as you keep your right heel rooted down, just draw over to the left side, just slightly. You'll feel a slightly different sensation here on the front side of the right leg as you reach your left foot to the left side. Now slowly take your left foot back to center. Release your left foot down. Take your strap to the side. Bend both elbows with the knees bent and your feet planted. Press your elbows down, and let's get a thigh stretch to both thighs by lifting your pelvis up. Let's get a nice stretch all the way from the knees to the collarbone. You feel this nice elongation. Now release your pelvis down. A lot of times I like to start the practice with these quad stretches. It's a way to open the front side of the body. So see if you can stretch your right quad by taking your right foot back a little bit more. Maybe you can even take your right toenails on the earth. Now, if your right knee is lifted up, no worries. But if it's crunching your right toes, then just tuck your toes under so that you can still get a nice stretch with the right leg. Take your left foot in the strap, reach the left foot up, and as you continue to get this nice stretch to the right thigh, hold on to the left leg, reach the right knee toward the back of the mat as you take your left foot just slightly up and reaching it toward the top of the mat. You can release the strap and release the foot. Come once again to this nice bridge pose. Maybe feel a nice elongation of the right thigh. Lift your pelvis up. Maybe you notice that now that you have that nice stretch to the right leg, you get a little bit more fullness in your bridge pose. Take your pelvis down and walk your left foot back just a little bit. And as you walk your left foot back, maybe you can put the foot in such a position that the toenails are facing the mat. But if that feels like just too much work for your left foot, tuck your toes under. You'll still get a nice stretch to your quads. And even if the knee is elevated, keep that position. I know it's rather awkward. And draw the right knee in, lift your right foot up. And as you do, you can just hold on to the strap. And as you hold on to the strap, lift your right heel up, draw your right toes slightly over your head, maybe even bend your knee as a way to create just a little bit more fluidity in the movement, so there's not so much tugging right behind the right knee. And slowly release your right foot down. Bend your right knee, bend your left knee with your feet planted, with your elbows planted, with the heart lifted. Now that you've stretched the front side of the legs, just get this nice lifting quality as you open the chest really nicely. And now slowly release your pelvis down. Draw yourself back to come to all fours position. In your yoga practice, changing it up like this, where instead of starting from a standing position in your practice, you open the hips lying on the floor. You feel so grounded, and you feel like when you're ready to start the standing poses, you feel like you've already got this nice opening in the pelvic area. In all fours position, step your right foot forward and take your right foot to the far edge, maybe even off the right edge of the mat. Take your hands to the inside of your stance. Walk your hands out. Look at your right knee. Check that it's right over your right ankle as you inch your left fingers a little bit more forward, maybe even taller than your right hand. Just draw the pelvis back a little bit more. It's a nice wake-up call for the inner groin muscles as you just inch the left fingers a little bit taller. You come back to the center position, and in this, take your right foot right to the center of the mat. Lift your right toes up, and as you do, as you press firmly down with the right heel, pull the right heel in back toward the left knee, and draw your heart forward and down slightly. And now give yourself a thigh stretch. Bend your right knee, drop into a deeper thigh stretch. Reach your arms up. Release your hands down to the mat. Step to all fours position again. Step your left foot forward. With your left foot forward, walk your hands over to the right side. Make sure your left foot is to the left edge or even off the edge of the mat. Check your left knee is right over your left ankle. And as you move your hips toward the left side, inch your hands at the diagonal. So the right hand is moving a little bit taller than the left. Your breath is really easeful. You're just allowing your breath to create a little bit more fullness in your actions. Create a little bit more patience, yet ease in the poses. Come back to step your left foot right to the center of the mat. Lift your left toes up with the left knee slightly bent, or you can straighten it if you wish. But with the knee bent, you can really drill down with the left heel. Pull in from the left heel. Draw your heart forward and slightly down to feel a nice lengthening in the back side of the leg. Come to all fours position again. In all fours position, lift yourself up to downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, just nod your head yes and shake it no as a way to just be in touch with the upper body after doing all this hip work. You can lift your heels up and stretch the side body by reaching your hips over to the right side. Your back to center to reach your pelvis over to the left center. Come back to the center position, and with the heels reaching toward the floor, walk your hands back toward your feet. Place your hands to your low back. Hug your elbows in and rise up. Come to a wide stance on your mat. And in this wide stance in the mat, turn your toes out slightly. Pull your heels in. Step your hands. Take your hands down so you're on your forearms. With your hands now holding onto your shins, work the inner knees in toward the arms. See if you can keep your heart drawing down and work toward the midline. Hug the knees in toward the midline as the arms resist. So you really open the inner thigh areas nicely. Now slowly come out of the pose and straighten your legs. So with the right leg straight, with the left leg straight, draw the hands behind you, maybe interlace the fingers or just take the palms to the low back. Hug your elbows in so that you get nice fullness in the upper chest. With the back heel rooted firmly, Draw your heart forward. Keep the back heel rooted. Draw slightly down. Keep the legs hugging in toward each other. If you're feeling too much of a pull behind the leg, bend the right knee as we did before. Keep pulling the legs strongly in toward one another. Inhale, lift yourself up. Parallel your feet again. Once your feet are parallel, just draw the toes out just slightly. So it's an external rotation. As you take your hands right above the knees, now place the forearms right above the knees. Now find a position for your hands as you push with your forearms toward the inner knee, the inner shin bone. Draw your heart down. Keep on pulling in. Pull in toward the midline of the stance. Can you just drop a little bit lower in the pose? Now place the hands to the low back. Rise up. With straight legs again, turn your left toes out. Turn your right toes in. Make sure you feel balanced in the posture. Hands behind you, either interlaced or to the low back so that the heads of the arm bones draw back. Lean back, so it's a nice kind of reassuring anchoring of the back leg so that as you move forward, you keep that solid foundation through the back leg as you just draw a little bit deeper into your pose. Again, there might be some point where you feel like you need to bend the front knee just slightly so that you can keep the engagement of the leg without too much of a pulling sensation. Inhale, rise up. One more time with the feet nice and wide apart, with your toes directing outwards so that you have an external rotation. Take the hands right above the knee. Take your forearms down. Take hold of your shin bones. Pull in toward the midline. Drop a little bit deeper into the pose. Depend on your breath to draw yourself easefully and slowly deeper into these poses. Now inhale and rise up to come back to all fours position. In all fours position, we'll do a modified version of pigeon pose where the right knee is forward, where you step your left foot back. Now, even though the left leg is supported by the floor, press in through the toenails. If you can't get enough engagement that way, tuck your toes under and pull in from the left foot all the way to the front of the mat. You're drawing in. Now, in the same way, the right foot is also engaged. It looks like a very passive pose, but if you keep your legs active as you draw yourself a little bit deeper into the pose, you might even want to rest your forehead to the stacked hands. Keep the legs active. You're working the back leg, pulling in. You're working the front leg. You can feel the calf muscle engage, quad. You're in a nice deep hip flexion with the right side and more hip extension with the left. Now lift yourself up and balance yourself. If you'd like to use your blocks to help you out in the balance, by all means. But see if you can lift your back leg up for a little bit of a thigh stretch. Reach back. You're holding onto the foot. You can draw it in or keep it out as long as you engage the quad nicely. Release your left foot. Come back to all fours position. Take your left knee to the middle of the mat. Walk your right foot back. Either press the toenails to pull in or tuck your toes under to pull in before drawing down. Now work the front leg. So in this deep hip flexion of the front leg, press your toenails in, pull in, engage the legs nicely. Maybe you can just draw a little bit deeper by drawing your forehead to your stacked hands. And now just for a little bit more work in hip extension, bend the back knee. See if you can hold on to the back foot to give yourself a little bit of a thigh stretch. As you do, engage your right leg again. So the right foot is reaching back as the right hand is pulling in. And slowly release yourself back to downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, just pedal your legs nicely. Come to a seated pose and lie down. As you stretch your legs out and relax your arms, let's come to a nice easy in-breath and out-breath. You feel very settled on the earth. In this practice, very atypical practice to start in the supine position with work on the hip flexors and inner groin to really open the hips for some deeper poses. Just allow that area of the pelvis to feel very heavy. Feel rooted. You'll notice how the legs just feel so free. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Just have this nice ease in your facial muscles. Nice softness. Your breath is very free and natural. Enjoy this time of rejuvenation. This time to bring ease to your day. Enjoy this restorative time in Savasana. Namaste.